Welcome to From Knowing to Doing, a masterclass on why smart people still get stuck and how to finally move forward with ease and consistency. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Tia Shen, the founder of Tia Shen Subconscious Coaching. Tia is an internationally accredited coach in NLP, EFT, and results coaching. Earlier in her career, she worked with Fortune 300 companies such as the Fosun Group and collaborated with leaders in education, including Dr. Dan Moat, former president of the University of Maryland and past president of the US National Academy of Engineering. Her coaching has helped clients achieve 7 times business growth in a single year, quadruple their productivity in just a week, and experience lower stress, greater confidence, and stronger relationships at home and at work. And now helps others turn stuckness into unstoppable action. Please welcome to the stage.
Welcome for joining us today at this From Knowing to Doing event, where you will discover exactly how to rewire your subconscious and really rewrite your destiny. A lot of you who join us today probably have this exact same question in your mind saying, well, I already know so much, but I'm just not sure why I'm not applying them in action. If that's the question you have in your mind, you've come to the right place, right? I do know that from my 15 years of working in the field of psychology, personal development, and also learning all of these different modalities myself, that people do come to this kind of event because they are struggling with committing to things that's going to make a difference in the long term. So they start and they stop, but they never really get their desired results. And we also see people who are constantly having to deal with things with like overwhelm, stress, anxiety, and self-sabotage, and most importantly, procrastination. All of these leads to one destination, that is we end up failing to create the life we dream of. I know for sure that you have a vision of the future of some kind. Maybe not so crystal clear, but you do have it. So my question for you is today, if you can finally put all the knowledge you have in action, what would be the number one goal you want to achieve? Like, think in your mind, what is the biggest thing you want to achieve? You want to achieve results. Maybe you want to change your health. Maybe you want to change your relationship. Maybe you want to create business success, or maybe you want to get better relationship. The list goes on, but let's face it, no matter what area of life you most want to change and how much effort you already put in acquiring the knowledge about it, it all comes down to one thing: the application of knowledge, right? Drop an A for application if you agree that applying knowledge is critical to your success. Yeah. So the fact that you either control your subconscious or it controls you. You are either the master of your subconscious and your conscious mind, or it is the master of you. You will find out exactly why that is. Let's have a look at what we are going to cover today. The number one thing is why, understanding why our brain works the way it is, why our subconscious is dominating us without us realizing. So we're going to go through that. And we are going to go through how our subconscious keeps us stuck and how to shift it. We are going to go through the 4-step process that's going to really help you break through. And we're going to find out the 3 main blocks anybody can face on their quest to achieve their ultimate goals in life. And we're going to learn about some of the case studies that our clients went through, just so that you know what in it for you, what's the potential. So I hope you already have the clear answer to that question that I asked you. What is the most important thing you want to create after you learn the tools to realign your subconscious and really get your actions flowing? So my big promise to you is by the end, you will understand why you have been procrastinating all along. You're going to know the exact tools that you're going to need to stop it and start taking meaningful actions. right? If that's what you want, please maybe type in an A for action if that's what you want to do. Take meaningful action after today, okay? So I see that, yeah, people are typing in A, which is fantastic. So we have this question in mind. This is really curious, right? Why do we know but we don't do? You know, the real obstacle to success is actually not a lack of knowledge. It is not your discipline. It is not because you're flawed. It's not because you're lazy. It's none of that. It's actually resistance in the nervous system, right? In the nervous system. And I want to just introduce you to this great metaphor. It's really well known in the field of psychology. It was made famous by Jonathan Haidt. He introduced this concept of elephant and rider for human mind in his book, The Happiness Hypothesis. So you are not just you. You are this logical rider in your head, and you are sitting on top of this giant elephant. This elephant represents your subconscious mind. I love this little picture that I put together. You are this rider sitting on top of the elephant. The rider has all these goals, your visions, learnings, logics, willpower. It's all in the rider. And the elephant has all your emotions. It controls your nervous system, your digestive system, all of these primal functions of you, but it also contains your beliefs and your self-identity. It also has stored all these traumas and protection patterns that you have accumulated over the years. If we look at this brain, this is a brain model that helps us understand, like, there's really not a correct, accurate representative of the brain itself, but understanding this will help us really understand how our brain works and why we are this rider riding on this giant elephant. So this model is called the triune brain model. Many of you probably already know this, but we're going to go through it quickly. So starting from the bottom is the reptilian brain, right? It's the instinctual, the primal version of our brain. It controls, like I said, a lot of the primal functions. And then moving up is the limbic brain. That's they call it mammal brain. It controls all the emotional feelings. And up top is the neocortex. That's the part that makes us human. Our goals, the knowledge that we know, the vision, all these things that we want to do, that's stored in the neocortex. It's super powerful, it's very, very smart. But there is a problem. When you look at the history of evolution, the reptilian brain first appeared 200 million years ago. And then the limbic brain appeared 80 million years ago. And the neocortex, very young, 2 million years ago. If, just to put it in perspective for you, if we consider the whole history of evolution as the 24 hours in a day, and we are standing at close to midnight, the primal part, the reptilian brain, first appeared around about 5 a.m. And then the midbrain, the mammal brain, appeared, like, let's say 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And the neocortex didn't show up until about 15 minutes before us, like 11:45 p.m. So that's how young it is. If you consider that, that explains why exactly the elephant is so powerful. It's old and it's well experienced. It holds all these power and it calculates at lightning speeds. But with our neocortex, the rider, it's super young. It's, although very smart, but it requires a lot of energy to calculate things and to respond to things, and it's very weak in terms of that. And there is another interesting thing about this whole rider on top of the elephant is this. The elephant controls 90% of what we do on a like automatic response almost. And it does it by creating habits and well-written wired loops in our mind. I'll just give you a little story that the other day I was taking my daughter to her piano lesson on a Saturday, right? We do this every Saturday. We jumped in the car, started driving, chatting along the way, And next minute, before we know, we stopped, and I looked up, and we were at my daughter's primary school. Not the piano lesson, but primary school. Like my daughter went, Mom, why did you come here? But I was like, I don't know. But that's the exact example of how our brain works. If we're not careful, it slips into these already wired in loops. And the neuroscientist has a name for it. It's called the default mode network, DMN. This is a brilliant example of why our elephant is so powerful, and it operates 90% of our daily activities. If we're not careful, we slip into it. So basically what happens is in most time, most everyday situations, our elephant, our subconscious is the one calling the shots. It's the one wanting to grab soft drinks when you're thirsty. It's the one wanting to scroll on the phone while laying in bed. It's the one doing all these things. And the interesting thing is, not only the writer has no power, no real power over this, but also it actually does something really curious. It comes up with all these excuses for your elephant. So you say your writer wants to do exercises and the elephant doesn't. So you sit there and you binge watch Netflix instead. But your writer comes up with this perfect excuse. Oh, it's been a long day. I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I deserve to rest. So you think that's a logical decision, but actually it's not. It's your writer coming, really masking the behavior of your elephant. That's something really, really interesting. If this is something that resonates with you, maybe you can, type an "even elephant" in the chat box, and this is what you notice you do on a daily basis. Your writer knows what to do, but your elephant wants something else, and you just play along. And you just play along. I see a lot of E's coming up. Right. So this is a really high level explanation of why our brain works the way it is. And I want to just pause for a second and bring your attention to this, because this is very important and it's often overlooked. This is one of the most important distinctions you'll ever learn about fear, because there are two kinds of fear. One is obvious, like the fear of snakes or heights or public speaking, and this part you are fearful of something. But then there is the subconscious, the second kind of fear. That's very sneaky. It lives under the surface. It doesn't feel like fear most of the time. It feels like this: procrastination, avoidance, perfectionism, analysis, paralysis, and all of these things. You don't know it's fear, but it's actually subsurface fear. And it whispers something in your ear, far more primal. It says, if you change, you might not be loved. And therefore, if you are not loved, you're not going to survive. It's not just random thoughts. It's biological. I'll share a quick story with you and tell you why that's biological. Back in the 1940s, researchers studied orphanages where babies die of a young age. Despite having all their physical needs attended to, like they've got food and they've got shelter, warmth, all of those things, they still died. And the scientists wanted to know why. And they discovered something entirely shocking. Because these babies who died, most of them died before the age of 2, they lacked emotional attention. It was emotional neglect that caused them to not being able to develop the neural system into this healthy human being. So what the researchers discovered was that human beings cannot survive without love and connection. So it's not just emotionally, it's physically. Your brain, our elephant learned this through evolution, instinctually, naturally. It knows without Without connection and love and belonging, we cannot survive. That's why, even as adults, we fear rejection, we fear failure, we fear criticism. We fear it so much that it becomes not logical. We don't know why, but now you know why. Because in this deeper part of our brain, we know if they don't love me, I'm not safe. So we do everything to make sure that we feel a sense of belonging. And a lot of times it stops us to change. The fear of change is actually the number one biggest fear of human beings. And you just heard why. So I just want to quickly say this. A few years ago, right, I was this person who knew exactly what to do because I've all the panic learning that I did, but I still couldn't do it. For the longest time, I called myself lazy, unworthy, broken, all of these things. But what changed for me was actually realizing that my subconscious was playing this protective guard for me by sabotaging me. So I want to share this gentleman. Many of you probably know him. This is the famous Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. So he's one of the pioneers of modern psychology. He once said this. This is really important. You might want to write this down, right? Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will dictate your life and you will call it fate. I just wanted to land for a few seconds. Because that sentence, when I first heard of it, it gave me such shock. Do you want to let fate control you, or do you want to go ahead and write out your own destiny? Or type a D for destiny if that's what you want to do. Rewrite your destiny. Decide what happens in your life. Because what I'm about to tell you, that's really going to change your life forever. Because there are ways that we can effectively, efficiently, fast go into our subconscious and change that dialogue, change that script with tools, with ways. We're not just, doomed like this. There are ways. And this is why I want to introduce to you a client of mine, actually. Her name is Kimberly. She is a relationship coach. She came to me thinking that she had a productivity problem because she said, I spent way too much time on selecting the marketing materials, like the assets, the images, what to write. And it's just taking me too long. I think I've got a productivity issue. She used to spend hours and hours searching for the right one. And so we sat down and we did one technique. And we actually found some high school blockages for her. Basically, she uncovered this past memories where she got ridiculed by her teacher in front of her class for not understanding instructions. And it really was quite significant. But the thing is, she did not know that. It only came up during the session when her subconscious elephant became open and started communicating all these things. That's when it surfaced, and we actually released that resistance on the spot. And a week later, this is what she came back and she told me. I'll share her video review.
I've had the opportunity to work with Tia. She helped me discover some old blockages from way back in high school, and that breakthrough alone helped me totally transform my productivity. I was able to change my behaviors in a way that something that would take me 3 hours would only take me like 45 minutes.
So this is exactly what can happen when we pinpoint the old dialogues, the old scripts that our elephant is playing, and it's very subtle. There's a reason it's called subconscious, right? Because it's below the surface. But there are ways, and once you identify them and you release them, there is great outcome for you. That leads us to the 4-step process the 4-step process that I'm going to cover today to show you how we can actually, go through this process of rewiring of subconscious. And the first step is called awareness. It's always awareness first. But this is not just your everyday conscious awareness, this is subconscious awareness, because you cannot change what you can't see. You cannot change what you can't see. So in the program and for this section, we actually have a few different tools for you to go deeper, because without the tools, subconscious remains subconscious. We use like 5 times why, your values track, self-sabotage reflections, and decoding questions to help you uncover what's really underneath there. And this is what can happen, right? After we pinpoint the subconscious dialogues. This is one of my clients, Wanchi. She actually thought she needed willpower to sort out all her problems. And when she could not, gather the willpower she naturally gravitated towards self-criticism and guilt and shame. But after going through the program and applying the techniques, this is what she said. The program gave me newfound inner peace, no anxiety, no inner struggle. I now face challenges with calm, enjoy life more fully, and even wake up 1.5 hours earlier with more energy, with no willpower needed. And Wanchi is not alone. I hear these kind of stories day in and day out, and I experience it myself. When we identify our inner, subconscious dialogues, what it's doing, it gives us the power to release it and get it, and really get the results. And natural discipline is a byproduct of it. And this is really a lot of fun to experience it. So that naturally leads to the second step of what the process that we go through to actually release and rewire our subconscious OS system to rewrite our destiny. So the second process is release. The second process is release. How do we release them? We use different processes and tools to release them. You're probably sitting there thinking, what sort of resistance are we going to be dealing with? And just to lay it out straight, for any human being, there can only be 3 types of resistance when it comes to goal achieving and getting things, putting the action in place. So I like to share this little story with you, so you help you understand. Let's just imagine, right? You are this rider riding your elephant, and you are going to this place called the Gold Town. The Gold Town is where all your dreams come true. The success you want, the love you want, the freedom you want, the money you want, the body you want, anything you want, right? Now you're riding your elephant on the road to Gold Town. But along the way, you run into 3 roadblocks. First, you reach a swamp full of lizards, right? They don't bite you, but they curse. They hiss out like, who do you think you are? You are not good enough. You don't have what it takes. You can't do it, but just why bother? Don't bother even try. These are limiting beliefs, right? These are identity level scripts that paralyzes you. And luckily for you, you have a coach who's very well experienced and knows his trade, knows his stuff. So your coach comes up and say, hey, I see you stop. Is that what you want to do? Oh, I see. That's the lizard cursing. All right, here are some tools you can use to calm the lizards. And your coach hands you a tool. Your coach hands you a tool to deal with the lizard, and you use it, the lizards go quiet. Now you can finally pick up your pace and start your journey again. But before long, you run into the second roadblock, a mountain full of crying, emotional monkeys. These monkeys keep screaming, oh, what if I fail? You better stop. What if they won't allow us? What if I don't do a good job and I disappoint my family, I bring shame to them, and I ridicule myself, I make myself look bad, all of these things. So you are too busy calming these monkeys, comforting them, and naturally you stop. You cannot go. Like, how can you go past these monkeys? They're so cute, but they're crying. Lucky for you that your coach comes along. Your coach says, I see you stopping again. Is that what you want to do? I see, it's the monkeys. They're a handful, right? Here, I got some bananas. So, so your coach hands you the tools, the coaching tools to calm the monkeys, and now the monkeys are happy. They are happy, jolly, and peaceful. They just went straight to, sleep. Finally, you can pick up your pace again and head to your goal town. But before you know it, you run into roadblock number 3. It's a huge maze. We call it maze for the brain. What happens here is that you get lost in all of these things that you don't know which is your direction. You hear all these voices. I really like this job, but my current job pays the bills for me. Oh, I really like this guy, but I can't forget my ex. Or I really want this, but I also want that. So what you experience here is called conflicted values. All these value conflicts make you cannot think straight. You don't know what to do. In fact, most people get stuck right here. Even if after they sort out their beliefs and all of those things, they get stuck right here. And if you didn't know this, conflicted values, how they say, if you cannot decide what you want because you got conflicted values, you can slip into chronic depression. It's one of the biggest causes because you cannot make decisions. So it's quite serious and we need to find a way to handle. And lucky for you, you've got a coach. Your coach comes along and say, I see you stopping again. This time the maze. Here is a compass. You take this and it will direct you. And you use that tool and boom, you find your direction. Finally, you're on your way to the goal town. Yay! So that's just a metaphor, but if I really, go deep and just explain to you what happened there as we go through all, we run into these 3 different roadblocks. The lizard curses are limiting beliefs at a primal stage. It's where we talk about the primal, like the reptilian brain. It's where it's stored at. All your limiting beliefs. It's your identity level limiting beliefs. And then the monkey crisis is the emotional brain, saying the midbrain. It controls all the belongings, safety, or the fears, all of those things. And then the brain maze is your conflict values at your logical mind, at your logical level, the neocortex. So, and curiously enough, we actually go through them in this order, right? When there's a big goal that we want to achieve, we feel these identity limiting belief first. I can't do this. This is why when you talk to people and you suggest some change, you want some money. How about you you get a side hustle? And most likely you hear them say straight away, it's not for me. I can't do that. So that's a lizard cursing, right? And the monkey part, the emotional, we call it trapped emotions because all of these fears stored there, that's in your midbrain. And we then go through that bit. And lastly, we come to conflicted values. The problem is now with many of you, I believe you probably have gone through programs and resources. You probably, I don't know, seen therapists and done things to help yourself. But the problem is you probably have like relief, some sort of change for a little while. After a few days or a couple of weeks, the old habits pop back up and you go back to normal. If that's something you experienced. Now, this is very normal because with a lot of modalities out there, majority of them, they deal with things as they rise. So you probably go in there and you say, I've got this limiting beliefs. So they give you something to deal with limiting beliefs, and then next time you come in with some trapped emotions, they give you emotional regulation tools to help you deal with emotions. And then when you have issues, they give you another tool to deal with conflicted values. But if they do it that way, there's very little chance that you're going to get long-term solid, consolidated change, because our brain needs to sort things out on, from a top-down level. That's the correct order we need to deal with these 3 blocks, because there is no point for you to deal with your emotions if you've got values conflict, and there is no point trying to change your core beliefs if there are trapped emotions. So we need to sort things out from what we call the top-down direction. So we need to choose, not only we need to deal with all 3 different levels, we also need to deal with them in the correct order to be able to have long-lasting, permanent changes. It's almost like, if you look at the screen here, I've got a door with 3 locks on there. Like, top one is conflicted values, and the mid one is trapped emotions, and the bottom one is limiting beliefs. We need to sort them out with the 3 keys to turn them all at the same time, both consciously and unconsciously. This is a client of mine. Her name is Christine Wheeler. She still is in the same real estate investment community with me. If you remember in a couple of years ago, there was this huge construction company crisis. A lot of construction companies went bust, interest rates skyrocketed, and material costs just went so high. And Christine got caught in the middle. She lost quite a significant amount of capital in multiple projects, but it was not just the money alone. It was her confidence, her sense of identity. She lost her momentum, and she just lost a sense of direction. She came to me just completely defeated. Like, something inside her just had completely gone, like, shut. And she knew she had the skills because she had been in the industry forever, for years and decades. But emotionally, she was, stuck in this loop of fear, shame, self-doubt, thinking, do I really have it? Like, is there still hope? And the thing is, within just one session, this is what she said. I'll read it out for you. She said, in one session, somehow it unlocked myself to the truth of who I wanted to be and who and how I was thinking. This has led me to learn and grow and become again the person I really am. And a great thing about this is these sort of subconscious, rewriting is not one-off. She had this one amazing breakthrough session, and months later, she was still gaining momentum from it. And the best thing was that she got a mentor offer. So she was made a mentor from a major real estate education company. She now teaches students with her experience. The exact thing she got basically failed once. But she now understands on a deeper level that she's worth it. She's got the knowledge, she's got the confidence, she's got whatever it takes to help other people. And that's what she's doing. She said her life could not be better. That's the power of subconscious rewriting that we have here. So I just want to quickly share this. A lot of people sort of ask me, hey, Tia, why are you so passionate about helping people? Why are you so passionate about this? Why are you so passionate? You talk about subconscious alignment all the time. Why? So I just want to just quickly share with you what happened in my life. About 6 years ago, I found myself in this place I never thought I would. We had just migrated from China to Melbourne for a year. My husband, myself, and my 1-year-old daughter back then, we had no job, no income. We were living off savings. And we just had a a bunch of dreams and hopes, and a savings account that with the amount reduces so fast, like could not blink. And every day I would worry about money. Not that in the sense that I have no money left. We do have savings, but the anxiety that I experienced, the scarcity mindset that I was in, every grocery trip that I made had some sort of anxiety attached to it, and I was really ashamed of my situation. On the surface, I was doing everything right. I purchased a $5,000 real estate investment course, and I was doing all these making effort. I was busy in all of those things, but behind the scene, I was procrastinating on the course. I bought it for 10 months, but without even finishing module 1. I kept myself busy chasing distractions, maybe sulking after fighting with my husband because we fought a lot. And it was just a nightmare. And deep down, I was really criticizing myself. I hated myself to guts. I thought there was something wrong with me. I was so shameful of myself, and I felt so guilty that I spent so much money on this course and I just never even had the decency to continue, like I wasn't even doing it. And it wasn't just financial, right? It was just, I was completely stuck in me. I had zero confidence. My marriage was on a verge of breaking. And my weight, I had reached almost 100 kilos. It was just a nightmare. I was such a loser back then, I thought. And one day, I ended up in an event just like this one. I was sitting in the crowd, and the mentor went up stage. And she said something I will never forget. Struck me like lightning. She said this: if you are thinking to yourself, I'm saying that I'm going to do this, but I just never do it, you are essentially saying to yourself, you are not worth it. I just sat there, froze for a few seconds. Like I think my mind went blank, but then I heard a big voice shouting in my brain, no, but I am worthy. I knew consciously that I was worthy. Who would think you were not worthy? I mean, consciously. But what I did not know was that subconsciously, I was playing a different game. I was doing all these procrastination, all these things that I was not acting out on the thing that I knew I should be doing, was because subconsciously I was playing this rhythm saying, you are not worthy, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you are not, you're non-deserving of the help. You're just, you know, that's the thing that I've been saying. So for me, that was such a incredible pivotal moment, because all of a sudden my subconscious would make conscious in that moment. The mentor's words struck hard into my deep unconscious level, and that made all the difference for me. Just on the day, I stood up and I went to the back of the room and I purchased, listen carefully, $35,000 worth of premium coaching package. No analyzing, no spreadsheet, no asking for permission, nothing. I just bought it on the spot because I made a conscious decision to act out from this conscious decision that I'm worthy of help, I'm worthy of support, I'm worthy of finally doing something extraordinary with my life. And you ask me, was it worth it? $35,000. Was it worth it? Yes, 1,000 times, yes. Just that same year, we got into our first real estate deal and we made $87,000 profit from it. But the money was the least thing that was, the benefit of it, because I gained confidence. I later on started my own coaching business, and I started helping clients both in Australia and in China improve their business, change their life, improve their relationships, and just change the way they look at themselves. None of that would have happened if I did not, change my subconscious script on that day and purchase that $35,000 coaching package. And the best thing is I am having such a wonderful relationship now with my husband, same husband, who also completely transformed himself as a result of my influence. But that's a story for another day. So what I'm saying here is, I work out 3 times a week now on a regular basis. I'm a healthy size 12, and my productivity, I achieved more things in the past 3 months than the past 3 years combined as a result of my final breakthroughs last year, when I actually put everything together and formed what I'm presenting to you today. Because believe it or not, after all these years of studying, it wasn't clear to me of all these subconscious stuff. So it took me well over 15 years of studying different modalities, all these coaching stuff, all these psychology, and all of these things to actually evolve into what I put in the program. And I just want to ask you this question. How successful would you be if you can finally align your subconscious and start taking the action of all the things you already know? How successful would you be? I think that's a fun question to ask yourself. What are the things that you are going to achieve if you can finally apply everything you know and you know you should? How successful would you be? So, we are about to do a quick this close eye process to finally meet your elephant type of alpha ready. So in about less than 15 seconds, we're going to go into this process. So please find a spot and sit comfortably. Make sure that you are really comfortable, and just listen to my voice and relax. Take a gentle breath in, and as you slowly breathe out, close your eyes. Breathe in naturally and breathe out naturally. Let your body finds its natural rhythm. Now think of something you've wanted to do but haven't. It can be small or big. Whatever comes to mind first, just take that. Bring yourself back to the moment when you didn't take action. Where were you? What were you doing? And what did you feel in that moment? Frustration? Heaviness? Emptiness? Maybe even guilt or the urge to escape? Just notice. Keep noticing the feeling and notice where you feel it in your body. Is it in your chest area, stomach, head, neck, legs, somewhere else? Don't change it, just notice. Now, imagine if this feeling had a color, a size, or a shape. Or if it's moving, does it have a sound, a temperature? And as you notice it, notice how curiously it's slowly taking form. And slowly you are observing it becoming an elephant. This is your elephant. the part of you that's been holding you back. Take a moment to look at it. Knowing it is not your enemy, it's just there keeping you safe. And then just ask, what is it that you want to let me know? Listen quietly, without judgment. Now, reach out and gently touch your elephant, maybe on the ear, maybe on the trunk or on the back. Say to it, I'm going to be with you now. You are safe. Feel its response. Notice if it softens, relaxes, or simply stands there with you. Now it's time to leave your elephant. Take a deep breath in and slowly out. Wave goodbye to your elephant. And bring your awareness back to this room. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your body in the chair. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you kind of enjoyed it. Because this is in a tight space, so that probably was a little bit fast. But I hope you had the opportunity to actually peek into your subconscious mind and listen to your elephant for the first time. Maybe it shared some wisdom with you, some heartfelt feelings. So that's that elephant, and maybe you had some insights that you never had before. Maybe it helped you. But my question to you is this. Are you a big fan of tennis? Do you know this lady? Yeah, this is Ashley Barty, the former world #1 in women's singles tennis player. So the question is, when she is out on the court training for her competition, do you think she is counting the minutes to her lunch break? Do you think she is watching the clock until maybe it's knock-off time? Do you think she wants to finish a little early every day? The answer is no. Of course not. She is in love with the process of playing tennis, that she wants to play it all the time and she wants to get better at it all the time. She really enjoys it because that's exactly what takes her to winning the prize, winning the Wimbledon, winning the Australian Open, and be a top-notch tennis player, because she is in love with the process, not just the prize. I'm sure she loves the prize, but the process is what actually got her there. So if we think of all these successful people in the world, you probably notice a few familiar faces. And you know, there is one thing in common. There's one thing in common about them, is that they all love the process. They all have incredible love for the trait that they chose, and they love the process. They put in all their hard work in there. Do you think any of them would drag to do the actual things that got them better? Do you think Oprah would say, oh, I hate preparing for the interview that I'm about to have with the Fortune 500 giants? Do you think that's the case? Of course not. Of course, very highly unlikely, because there's one thing that's really important about these successful people and how they put in all their energy into these things that's critical for their success. We call them heart-aligned habits. Because until you make that practice and habit of yours, you'll always have to require willpower for you to do it. But like we said, willpower, if you didn't know this already, willpower is a finite source. Willpower is something that we can gather in a short amount of time, but it cannot last. We're going to get depleted of energy, we're going to crash. So we never rely on willpower when we go into do the things that's going to get us to success. So what's required? Like I said earlier, discipline is not something that you either have or not. It's not like a quality. It's not like you're born with it or not. It's just not. What it is this. This is probably something that's going to be new for you, but it's so true. So discipline is a byproduct, if I put it that way. How you get discipline is this. You align your subconscious. So basically, you don't have an elephant that's constantly fighting with your rider. So you align your subconscious. Now, both your conscious and subconscious are in alignment towards your goals. That's number one criteria. And the second criteria is that you have inner peace. You're not always in an emotional upheaval state where you're always crushed by all these anxiety, stress, So you're constantly calm and peaceful. That's the second criteria. And the third one is that you are not always in the brain fight of conflicted values. Remember the three layers. If you align all three, if you achieve identity level alignment with your subconscious, and you achieve emotional peace, and then you sort out your head level conflicts, you get easy automatic discipline. That's what happened with the client Wanchi that I shared. She wakes up 1.5 hours earlier and gets more energy and without willpower. That's what I did. What I get. I go to the gym 3 times a week now, and I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. For me, if you told me that like last year, I'd laugh at you because all my life such a late sleeper. Like I wake up really late. All my life, I never identified with an early riser, but now I wake up 7 o'clock in the Sunday to go to the gym. For what? I remember the first time I did that automatically, I was like dumbfounded. Like I couldn't believe it, but I just felt natural. So this is what you get, automatic discipline when you align the three. And this is what you get when you can rewire in. Remember we had a slide called the default mode network, your brain's autopilot. Your brain's autopilot right now is wired in all these other habits that you're doing already that's wasting your time, consider wasting your time, dragging your energy, making you not doing the things you should be doing but not doing. But if we find a way to rewire that network, what's going to happen? You're going to wake up early, start doing the things you should be doing straight away without having to push yourself. If that's what you want to do, please type in an A for aligned habits if that's what you want to do. Then I'll share with you what we do in our program to make sure that happens. So if you remember the slide, tools, the values track, shadow values, guru technique, imagine action, soul retrieval, universal freedom technique, and the identity imprint. So we have all these tools to help you rewire your brain at an identity level, looking after the 3 keyholes. Remember the personal self-limiting beliefs, the emotional traps, and the conflicted values at the top level. And this is what you get. This is another client of mine, Li Fun, and she shared message after message describing her transformation as we went through the process. Really excited. And after applying the techniques we teach, she experienced a complete identity shift. Like she no longer was the person she was. From someone who constantly sought to please others in order to feel happy and safe, to someone who feels deeply content with herself, no longer affected by those who try to dictate her life, because she had a lot of those people in her life, her family, her friends, her husband, with judgment and criticism. She now is immune from them. She reported feeling significantly calmer, less reactive to people or situations around her. She began going after promotions with newfound confidence. And as she improved her relationship with herself, her relationships with her daughter and husband naturally began to thrive as well. So this is what happens when you find a way to remember the first step, the first three steps, to really identify what your subconscious is playing and release those resistance in the three order that we talked about, the top-down order, with these transformational tools, and actually apply them continuously to wire in this new identity of yourself. You will get these easy peasy discipline. You will start applying the things that you know already finally into action. It just happens. It happens to me. It happened to all of my clients. Like not even one that did not experience this kind of shift, because the techniques, the processes simply work like magic. Because after all, brain science is science, right? So when we apply the right system, we get results. I'd like to say this. I'd like to give acknowledgement to this gentleman. His name is Benjamin J. Harvey. A lot of the processes that we use in our program, the workshop, actually came from him, which I have license to use in my program. And question, any of you who's cooked a souffle before? Have you tasted a souffle? Have you cooked a souffle? If you've tried cooking a souffle, you will know that souffle is one of the hardest cakes to cook in the world. It's one of the hardest. Something about it, you bake it, it looks perfect in the oven, and as soon as you take it out, it collapses onto itself. It happens so easily. So my question is, would you, if you were to cook the souffle for the first time, would you rather look at a recipe book and do it yourself? Or would you have a really experienced 5-star hotel chef standing next to you, telling you exactly what to do every step of the way? Which way would you do it? Would you do it yourself? Or would you do it with a chef? Would you do it? You can type in C for chef or S for self. I'm just curious, are you the type of person who would like to do everything on your own, or would you like to have a chef next to you and help you every step of the way? If you ask me personally, if I have the opportunity, I'd get a chef to cook with me, every day of the week. Because without a chef's help, without an experienced person's help to cook a souffle on your own for the first time and get a good result from it is near impossible. So, question with Ash Barty that we mentioned earlier. Do you think she has a coach for one? Yes, she has a coach. Her coach is called Craig Tizer. And can you just type in the chat box, why do you think she has a coach? Why do you think Ash Barty had a coach? Why do you think she has a coach? Why? She's already so good. Russell said to improve. What else? Why do you think Ash Barty had a coach? She's already really good. She knows her trade. She knows how to swing a bat to help her. Grant says to help her improve. Absolutely. To notice exactly. Grant said to notice the things she can't. Spot on, Grant. And Russell says technique. Yes, for sure. Grant had said something that's spot on. Why Ash Barty hired a coach? Because we have to admit, as human beings, it doesn't matter how wise we are, there is going to be a blind spot with any of us, everybody of us, which is we cannot see ourselves from the outside. So we all have blind spots. This is called being human. And if we are not aware of the blind spots, what we could be doing is that we could be wasting a lot of our time and effort going down the wrong path. If imagine I was, if I were Ash Barty and I was just, swinging the bat and doing all these things, and I did not realize that my arm was at, swinging at this wrong angle ever so slightly, but I cannot see myself and I don't have a coach. What can happen? Do you think she can continue to win all the tournaments that she did? Probably not, because if we don't correct these little mistakes, that could severely harm her performance. And this is exactly the same with all those successful people that I had on the screen. There's one common thing with all of them and more. And if you think of all the top-notch A-list people in the performance industry, in the business world, in all of these across industries or across fields, one thing in common is that they all have a coach. Some have multiple coaches, one for each of the areas that they want to perform well. And why is that? Exactly the why you just type in the chat box. We all need someone to watch us with a certain level of professionalism, right? Not just amateur, but somebody who knows what they're doing, who knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing, to watch you from the outside and tell you every step of the way. This is what I see you doing. This is what you really want to do. Well, I see this, a little bit of reflection, a little bit of, information if you need it. So we all need this sort of safe container so that we can actually realize our full potential. And this is even more so with subconscious alignment. I'll tell you why. Information has never been cheaper and so easy to get nowadays. We can get absolutely every piece of information, knowledge, high quality knowledge with a blink of an eye, with fraction of like no cost, right? We get information and knowledge so easy, but getting the knowledge does not equal getting the results. And you all should know this because you are here at this event called From Knowing to Doing. You guys all know a lot. You probably know more than I do. I can give you all the information, but I guarantee you 3 months down the track, 6 months down the track, the longer you wait, the less likely that you are going to change. Why is that? Because subconscious is called conscious for a reason, okay? Subconscious is this hidden thing to all of us. I can tell you all day, every day about subconscious. And if there is a barrier there between your conscious and subconscious, it's very hard to break through on your own. You need to have a safe container, a space where you feel absolutely safe, not just you, but your elephant feels absolutely safe to break through. Because remember we said the conscious fear versus unconscious fear, the biggest fear of any human being is the fear of change. And without the safe container in a coaching program, in a workshop program, in an environment that's safe for both you and your subconscious, it's so hard, it's near on impossible for you to break through. We need that extra layer of support. So that's why I'm just giving a lot of stress in this, because this is critical. Like, even though this is the last step, right? Last step in the 4-step process. If we go through it again, we had step 1, you need to understand what your subconscious is playing, right? You need to gain awareness of your subconscious. That's step 1. Step 2, you need to release the resistance, all the resistance after detecting what your subconscious is doing. And step 3, you need to actually wire in new identity within yourself using the tools and techniques and transformational tools that we have in the program. But the last step, the safe container environment, it is critical in this whole thing. It is absolutely critical. Now, I know I shared my story quickly, but I just want to add to it, because the whole journey of my transformation, it did not happen overnight. If I put a date there, the date where I first learned that I was playing this unconscious rule that you are not worthy, that happened in December 2019. But that was a critical moment. So all the effort that I put in before that day was all wasted because I was playing this subconscious dialogue that I'm not worthy. So all of the effort, all the books that I bought courses, I bought books, I did programs after program, all my effort was in vain because of the blindness that I had with my subconscious. And that single line, that single moment, it happened with in like 10 seconds, changed my whole life. That was a pivotal moment. But it took me then how many years? 2019 till last year. Geez, I lost count. 6 years. 5 years. Took me 5 years of still struggling, getting small progress, little improvements bit by bit until I discovered this missing link about our subconscious and unconscious. And I acquired my last tools last year. And I combined that with all these other techniques that I learned and applied in myself and my clients and turned them into this really, really powerful modality that I shared with you in the screen, the identity imprint shift. That one there, that was the part that landed everything for me. Now you probably ask, well, Tia, why don't you just share that thing? Why don't you just have something and just share that one thing that can all help us? Well, the thing is, we are all different. Even though we're human beings, we are largely the same, but we are all very unique in our own ways. Some of us think, the submodalities of our brain is just slightly different. Something worked for me might not work for you, and I need to be able to give you all the tools that might be useful for you, and you can pick and choose from the toolbox. That's why we have 7 of them. And I need to guide you through this order so that you get the results you want. That's lasting results, that's identity level shift. I just want to share quickly my clients. This is what can happen when you finally find a safe container, a good coaching program that's going to give you not just the knowledge, but also the structure that allows the shifts to happen for you to get real results. So meet Varun Arora. He's the former owner and CEO of Gyms Removals Australia, but that's under the big umbrella of gyms. So when Varun first came to me, his business had just one truck. So it's removal business, right? One truck and 6 staff members, including himself. He wasn't just running the business. He was actually in the business doing the heavy lifting of the removal work. Now, do you think he didn't know he needed to hire more people and do all these other business tricks? Of course he did. He was a business student and his father owns a huge business, so he knew all of that. But when he came to me, he was still running in the business. But knowing wasn't the issue for him, right? He had a deep resistance rooted in his belief that he needed to be there to maintain control. Otherwise, things would fall apart. That's what he told himself. And the results? Within 3 months, his business doubled. He stepped further and further out of the truck. I think within 4 to 5 months, he stopped being in the truck altogether. And by the 12th month, his business revenue had hit 2.4 million. And that's more than 7 times growth. So this I hope this lands. He did not arrive there alone. He did that through having the safe container of our coaching relationships. Before we go any further, let's take a look at what we covered so far. So over the past hour, we've uncovered the real reason you get stuck between knowing and doing, and why this stuckness has nothing to do with laziness, discipline, or motivation. You now understand that the rider can have all the logic, all the knowledge, all the goals, but unless the elephant, your subconscious mind, feels safe, aligned, and clear, it simply won't move. You've seen how 90% of your behaviors, decisions, avoidance patterns, and emotional reactions come from subconscious wiring, not your conscious choices. And you've mapped the 3 layers of resistance: the brain maze at the top, the emotional overload underneath that, and the deep identity level beliefs at the core. You've also seen why none of the traditional approaches, productivity hacks, affirmations, discipline techniques, none of it really stick because they only target the rider, they never address the elephant. And until the subconscious stops pulling you backwards, you stay stuck in a loop of, I know what to do, but I just can't seem to do it. And we covered the 4 stages of moving from knowing to doing: awareness, releasing resistance, installing aligned habits, and most importantly, having a safe container where subconscious change actually happens. Actually, this last part is the one most people have never experienced in their entire lives. And that's exactly why I created the 3-day workshop and why I opened up day 1 as a standalone experience, because for a lot of people, this might be the first time you've ever been offered a space to understand your own mind at the level where change is actually possible. Let me tell you what happens on day 1, because it's not a teaser, it's a full breakthrough day. Now, day 1 is where we clear the top level of resistance, the brain maze, and you finally see what's going on underneath the surface. So we take your goals, your values, your internal contradictions, and your subconscious patterns, and we map them out in a way that creates instant clarity for you. For many people, this is the first time they realize, oh, I'm not broken. My system was doing the best it could to protect me. And perhaps you'll think, oh, well, I always thought I wanted to do that, but actually this is what that truly drives you. When you see your inner world laid out clearly like that, something will shift. The confusion will melt away and your actions start to make sense. Another cool thing happens on day 1. You also get your first identity glimpse. You start to see who you are becoming, not from imagination, but from subconscious signals that emerge naturally during the processes, and that's really cool. And we're also going to do your first emotional release work, not the really deep, heavy stuff, but gentle, regulated, guided release that resets your nervous system as your clarity can land and you finally feel safe. And people often tell me that the feeling on day 1 is like suddenly having space in their mind. The noise quiets, things that felt impossible suddenly feel doable. And that's because the elephant, the part of you that holds all your power, finally understands the direction you are asking it to take is a safe direction. Now, I will mention day 2 and day 3, but only briefly because day 1 is our focus now. Now, day 2 of this workshop is where we clear emotional resistance and start deeper rewiring using gentle subconscious tools. Day 3 is the identity day, where deeper beliefs come up and we work through them with subconscious restructuring. Tools like EFT, parts work, and identity bridging, and the unblock formula. But you don't need to choose the full 3 days for now. That's exactly why day 1 is available on its own, so you can experience the clarity and the shift first, then decide if you want to continue. Let me address something important, right? A lot of people get nervous when they hear the word subconscious. It feels abstract, mysterious, or unfamiliar, but the subconscious is just your nervous system, your emotional memory, your protective patterns, your autopilot reactions, all of these things that you work with 24/7. And the one thing you should know about your subconscious, all of that is normal, all of that is healthy, and all of that becomes easier to work with once you're shown how. Day 1 gives you that instruction and the container and the hand holding, all the guidance, safely, gently, without overwhelm. You might be thinking, I've taken so many courses, what makes this different? Well, the difference is simple. Most courses teach you what to think. This one changes how your subconscious feels. And remember, nothing in your life will actually change for the long run until your subconscious changes. This is why every motivation spike you've ever had fades after a few days. The rider gets excited, but the elephant never agreed. Now, day 1 is where the elephant finally comes to the table. You might also think, well, I don't have time. But this is the irony. The feeling of no time comes from the internal friction. When your inner world is aligned, time expands. You move faster, cleaner, easier, because you're not dragging resistance anymore. Now, day one collapses that friction. Another common concern is, what if I can't focus or keep up? The beauty of this work is that focus is not required. You're guided through processes that bypass the parts of you that overthink. The subconscious takes the lead. You don't have to force anything. Well, some might worry, is this too woo-woo? No. Everything we do is grounded in neuroscience, emotional integration, and subconscious processing. So it's all science-based, nothing spiritual, so to speak. So let me ask you something honestly. How long have you been waiting for the right moment? How many times have you said, I'll deal with this later, and then watch the same patterns repeat again and again? If you are here watching this up until now, it's not random. Something inside you knows that you've been stuck long enough, and at some point, later becomes another word for never. Patterns don't change with time. They only change with choice. That's why I want to invite you into day one. It's a full 7-hour workshop experience. You get clarity, emotional release, identity insight, and your first rewiring shift. You also get the full recording afterward, so you can revisit the processes anytime, like forever. And you get 2 months of monthly group coaching course to help anchor the changes. And the total value of day one is well over $900. Just think about the amount of transformation that can happen. $900 is really not that pricey, but I don't want price to be the barrier between you and your shift. Right, so your day one pass is, listen to this, only $99. And if you decide later to continue into the full 3-day workshop, your $99 is credited toward the remainder. Nothing lost, only clarity gained. And I want you to feel completely safe. So here's my guarantee. If you attend day one, you stay through the processes, and you don't feel a shift, like any shift, even a subtle one, I will refund you the $99 in full. No pressure, no questions asked. You have nothing to lose but your old patterns and your procrastination, perhaps. So here's the real question. Not whether you're capable, not whether you're ready. You've been ready for a long time, believe me. The real question is whether you're willing to keep living in the same loop, or whether today becomes the moment you quietly but powerfully choose something different. Now do me a favor and imagine your future self, the version of you who has already closed that knowing doing gap, done the thing, achieved the goals, got the life. Imagine that version of you standing right here with you. What would that person say? Would they tell you to wait for the perfect moment? Or would they say, just go grab the opportunity while it's there? Go, this is the moment you stop repeating the old pattern and finally get your life back. Now the link to join day one is right below this video. If anything inside you has softened in the past hour, if something feels clearer, if a quiet yes is rising, that is your elephant signaling safety, readiness, and alignment. I would be honored to guide you through this next step. And I promise, you will walk out of day one with clarity, relief, and a sense of internal alignment that stays with you long after the workshop ends. Well, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself. I hope to see you inside day one where your real shift begins.